Alright, I promised you a follow-up if I happened to find that article, and after I did my last video, I immediately did a search because I just couldn't let it go. Here's the article I found. It's at Fortune magazine, and I did leave a link on the prior video. The police are now suggesting that the Petya ransomware attack was a distraction. The primary target was in the Ukraine, which is where it had initially spread from, and they believe that it was to target the infrastructure. And it's Ukrainian police, along with Russian actually, that are now reporting this. Cybersecurity firms are calling it Petya, some are calling it not Petya. It's paralyzed thousands of machines worldwide, shutting down ports, factories, and offices in approximately 60 countries. At first, they blamed Russia because it looked like it was targeting mostly Ukraine. However, two of the companies that were affected are Russian energy companies. So if it was Russia, it's unlikely that they're going to attack their own energy companies and cause themselves potential financial harm. So a growing consensus, armed with technical evidence gleaned from actually looking at the computers, suggests that the main purpose is to install new malware on computers at government and commercial organizations in Ukraine. Rather than extortion, the goal may be to plant seeds of future sabotage. International firms have been hit. A Slovakian security firm, ESET, has released statistics on Thursday showing that 75% of the infections detected were in Ukraine, and that all of the top 10 countries hit were located in either Central, Eastern, or Southern Europe. The president of BSI told Reuters that most of the damage hit Ukraine, Russia to a lesser extent, with only a few dozen German firms attacked. And in all of the known cases, the companies were first infected through a Ukrainian subsidiary. Now, the reason for that is the way that this thing spreads is through the internal infrastructure, at the companies. Not very many people are actually paying the $300 ransom that it asks for. And due to the way that it's acting, they're thinking that it's unlikely that they actually expected to monetarily benefit from it, which leads to them looking, into whether or not the extortion demands are actually real or if they are a smokescreen. The working hypothesis from cybersecurity firms who consider not Petya what they call a wiper or a tool for destroying data and wiping hard disks clean being disguised as ransomware. Since the virus was modified to encrypt all data and make decryption impossible, the likelihood of it being done to install new malware is high. The official declined to be identified. He wrote it apparently in a text message to Reuters. And let's see here. The Information Systems Security Partners, a Kyiv-based cyber research firm that has investigated previous cyber attacks against Ukraine, is pursuing the same line of inquiry. So you have multiple companies coming to the same conclusion that are in the business of cybersecurity, that this was not actually ransomware, it was a smokescreen to install something else. And there's more reason for that. They state that it's highly likely during this attack new attacks were set up because at almost all organizations whose network domains were infected, not all computers went offline. That's what initially rose suspicions. Why didn't they all go offline? We're trying to understand what they might have left on the machines that weren't hit, the ones that were left connected. Because not everything acted the same, and that made them think that one way or another some were being identified or targeted in a different way than what other ones were, but they're not entirely sure exactly how that happened yet or what the connections are. They're still looking into that. They did mention Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council said that the virus was first and foremost spread through an update issued by an accounting services and business management software, which I believe they later say was MedDoc. So be careful of your updates, people. Make sure that you save things. This has been a fear of mine personally for a long time, because it happened in the past with Microsoft, where viruses were piggybacked, and even though you attached to the official system, that's how stuff was spread. Sometimes these things are spread through legitimate services that you will willingly go to, which is what happened in this case. Also involved was the hosting service of an internet provider, which the SBU has already questioned about cooperation with Russian intelligence agencies. Because they were looking into whether or not that provider was willingly doing something against Ukraine, which is looking to not be the case because, again, Russian companies were hit. Technical experts familiar with the recent history of the cyber escalation between the two countries say that the latest attacks are part of a wider political and military conflict, although no smoking gun has been found. John Holtquist, a cyber intelligence analyst with FireEye, said the failed ransomware attack disguises an as yet unseen destructive motive. They're not sure what it is. If it were an attack masquerading as crime, that would not be unprecedented. It's happened before. Some cybersecurity researchers have said the fact that the Kremlin's two flagship energy companies are victims of the attack could suggest Moscow was not behind it. Again, why would they hit their own companies? That's going to hurt themselves. Of course, you could argue, well, they did that to make it look good. Yeah, I would argue there's other things that they would pick rather than their big energy sector companies that they really care about and need. Russian oil major Rosneft was one of the first companies to reveal that it had been compromised by the virus, and sources told Reuters on Thursday that computers at the state gas giant Gazprom had also been infected. Not Petya appears to be more targeted than what WannaCry was, and it's more sophisticated. When first infected by WannaCry, computers scanned the internet globally for other vulnerable machines. Not Petya did not do that. By contrast, Not Petya did not randomly scan the internet to find new computers to infect. Instead, it spreads itself inside organized networks, taking advantage of a variety of legitimate network administration tools, which makes it far harder for antivirus software or network security techs to detect. It also gives it the capacity to infect other Windows computers, even those with the latest security patches. Several security firms have been warning since Thursday. So it's more sophisticated than WannaCry in terms of the scope, harder to neutralize, and apparently the motivation is far different. As far as they can tell, at this point, it only appears to have been distributed inside Ukraine by a handful of so-called watering hole attacks by piggybacking on the software updating feature of the National Tax Accounting Program known as MedDoc, which is very popular over there. So again, they went to a legitimate business source for an update and got burnt. Similar to what happened in the past with some people here worldwide with Microsoft. Kaspersky, a global cybersecurity and antivirus firm in Russia, has said that they found a second distribution point on a local news site in the city of Bakhmut, Ukraine, which infected visitors who clicked on the site with the ransomware-like attack. So people that just clicked links to go to that news site also got nailed. So it's much different than things used to be. Now you don't necessarily have to be going to bad places to get stuff. You could be going to legitimate places and still have this happen. But anyways, again, I promised y'all I would update you if I found that story. I did. And there you go. You folks have a great night. Remember to hit like and subscribe. Thank you.